Alright, we're on chapter 3 now. Beware, my love, before you're much older, he'll sweep you under his carpet. You'd be in luck if you could stop it. Beware, my love, Wings. Chapter 3, Paul Motherfucking McCartney. There was this guy I knew in the early 80s. I wouldn't call him a friend necessarily, more of an instigator, that I ended up spending more weekends with than I'd like to admit. Jamie Remington was the squirrely cocaine dealer, someone you knew from the get-go you could never trust. But he knew how to have a good time, and boy, like the Willie Nelson song goes, if you got the money, honey, I got the time. It was the what he lived by. If you bought the party, he supplied it, and he'd make damn sure it lasted longer than you could handle. I had been kicking around in the proverbial gutter since '79 when I dropped out of college to see what fell in my lap. And it turned out that the answer was a pretty little redhead with sharp nose and these crazy green eyes. The mother of my daughter. She was a college girl, and she was way too good for me. You know how I met her? Much as I hate to admit it, was thanks to that rat Jamie. He had this house out in the suburbs of Atlanta. Lord knows how he got it, inheritance or drug money. And he started having a party there on Halloween weekend in the year of 1982. Me and some friends got all jazzed up and took a bus out to his place, ready to see what kind of trouble we could get into. And when we got there, Jamie was already a wreck. I don't know what he took or how much, but his eyes were red as the devil's, and he started jumping around and talking like a man on fire. He wanted to do something. Didn't know what, but he just wanted to go. Man, when he saw us, he lit up like a bomb and ran right over. Henry goddamn Turner. Listen, kid, listen. We gotta go. And I'll tell you why. It's because this night ain't big enough for me right now. And I'm feeling the size of a damn earthquake. We gotta get out before I blow. You gotta see something. Come here, quick, now. It's round back. He took me around the side of his house, past the well-manicured shrubs, and immaculate lawn. And there, parked right in his backyard, was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. What do you think, right? Got it from some sucker in Florida. This old fuck that didn't realize what he had, and just practically gave it to me. A goddamn idiot. He had some sort of disease, some kind of cancer. And you know those painkillers I got last month? Well, you wouldn't believe my luck. But he traded me this thing for the rest of my pills and $1,000 cash. Sometimes I can't believe how good I have it. It's like the fucking universe wants me to win. Am I the Messiah? Hell, I don't know. And sometimes it sure feels like it. Go on. Hop on in the damn thing, Hank. It was a '55 Mustang convertible. The dark red, almost bloody looking. Now, even in my altered state, I could never condone Jamie ripping off a man that was dying of cancer. But this was just too good. At that point in my life, the nicest car I ever driven was an old beat-up Studebaker with a radiator that hissed like a feral cat if you took over 30 miles per hour. Now I'll be a son of a bitch if I was going to turn down a ride in that piece of art. I climbed into the passenger seat. So where are we going, Jamie? The moon and back? Take it easy on me now. You know I'm a virgin. Better, Hank, way better. And quit lying to the ladies about being a virgin. They can smell a dog like you a mile away. You ever been to Athens on Halloween? Those University of Georgia girls are crazy as hell. And I'll tell you this right now. You and me are gonna make them even crazier. And with that, he turned over the engine, screamed like a dying man, and peeled out the yard, leaving the rest of the partygoers bewildered and confused just as to where their host was going. But that was Jamie. Didn't mind leaving hundreds of fucked up strangers at his unattended house to their whims. He only cared which direction he was gonna kamikaze his plane next. Which made me his co-pilot, I guess. Hell, we were too messed up in those days to fly anything anywhere. Maybe the eye of the hurricane is a better way to put it. We got there sometime around midnight, and by God, he was right. This was a party. Thousands of drunk revelers, all dressed in the craziest shit imaginable, spilling out into the closed-down streets. Confetti raining down. Angry, joyous jazz music pouring from the corner bars. And us. A couple of coked-out, ravenous monsters ready to devour anything in her path. First thing Jamie did was ask where the nearest house party was at. That's where the real fun is, he said. You get a group of people out of the public eye and they'll do damn near anything. Or buy damn near anything at least. Jamie had bought the mobile pharmacy with him, and he was ready to hawk off what he could to some of these college kids. We ended up at a packed house just off of campus, where there was some cover band laying down the hits. They were pretty good too. I walked into the living room and sat down on the couch next to the loveliest stranger I'd ever seen. Right as the band launched into a slow rendition of My Girl, it was like a scene straight out of a movie. She turned a little, gave me that sly smile and inched a bit closer. Now her name, it was as mysterious to me as her eyes. Sarah, Jane, but her face, God, I could see that as clear as a Mona Lisa. Pointy little nose, deep green eyes, long red hair falling across her face, and that goddamn cat costume. That goddamn cat costume. I swear. Everybody else at the party was dressed up as some sort of sexy princess or half-naked ballerina. But she had on this baggy, full-bodied cat costume made out of shag carpeting. She looked like a damn monster, and I loved it. I was nervous as hell and blurted out the first thing that came to my mind. You ever did blow? I didn't know what else to say, and figured I'd probably shot my chances to shit. But to my surprise, she just smiled and laughed a little. You know, I've been wanting to try it. Just never had the chance. What's it like? I hear that if you do too much, your heart will just go pop and explode right out in your chest. That true? That ain't true, right? Is it? Because I ain't no prude. The way I see it, you gotta try everything at least once in your life. If you want to really live, you know? Anyway, hey, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. What's your name? My name? My name's Henry. And that's when the rat came in. Hank, you ain't introduced me to this lovely thing yet. Who the fuck is Hank? No. Hank, you ain't introduced me to this lovely thing yet. Darling, move over. My name's Jamie. Jamie Remington. At your service. And is it just me or is this party fucking dead? Like, one minute you walk in and the band's laying down some serious goddamn funk, and the next it's fucking Wings. Fucking Paul motherfucking McCartney's Wings. The hell is this world coming to when the house band needs to play Wings to get things going? We need to pick me up. You and me. You know of a quiet place around here we can be alone? She was never one to take shit from some small-time hustler like Jamie, but she was too southern and too polite to do anything but indulge his nonsense. She stood up, but nodded to me first. You gonna come too, Henry? I shrugged. Why not? Great. Follow me, you two. We walked down a dimly lit hallway into a small bedroom near the back of the house. The off-white carpeting on the floor was cluttered with clothes and college textbooks, and the air felt stagnant and dirty. An ashtray had been spilled, and the crushed cigarette butts that were scattered near the doorway made the place feel like a cheap motel room. As Jamie locked the door behind him, he gestured to the mess. Classy place, she smiled and shrugged. It's my friend Branda's room. Well, not friend, really. Branda and I have hated each other since the second grade when I accidentally threw up on her new coat, and she cut off my ponytail with a pair of safety scissors. Some friend, I laughed. And then the junior high, she stole my boyfriend. And then in junior high, she stole my boyfriend and made out with him in front of me in the cafeteria. So I told everyone that she'd blown the gym teacher to pass phys ed. Now Jamie started laughing too. And get this, in 11th grade, she ran over my cat on the way to school. So I went to her house and left an anonymous letter in the mailbox saying that I'd been watching her for the past year. And that the next time she left the house alone, I was going to cut her throat with a knife just to watch her bleed. We stopped laughing. Anyway, our families have been friends for years, so we still see each other all the time. That's how we ended up at the same college. Jamie had taken the mirror off the wall and was laying down 3 white lines of powder on it. He passed it to her and smiled. A toast then, to Branda. She rolled up a $1 bill and snorted the biggest line off the mirror. To Branda, may she burn in hell. An hour later, we were on top of the world. Jamie had wandered off to sell drugs at the next party, leaving her and I alone. and the cocaine coursing through her veins made the conversation come easily. She had grown up in South Georgia as the only daughter of a mechanic, and had spent her youth under the hood of the vehicles brought into her father's shop. By the time she graduated high school, she could piece together a blown-out engine using scrap parts and have it running before the end of the day. When I told her about the new car Jamie and I had driven over in, she wasn't impressed. "If you want to see a car, follow me." We walked around the side of the house to the detached garage, and she opened the door. A black '68 Pontiac. If you want to see a car, follow me. We walked around the side of the house to the detached garage, and she opened the door. A black '68 Pontiac Firebird hardtop sat there, the first of its kind, with the classic Coke ball styling. It almost looked like it had never been driven. She threw me the keys. "Go on, let's take it out." By this time, it was about 3 in the morning, and the party had just begun to die down. The old 53 highway that led into Russell was pretty empty around that time of night, and would be a good place for a joyride. I remember when I was a kid, Granddad used to take me out to his diner, a friend of his owned in Russell, called Max's. The first time I watched a man die was there. We were eating dinner, and the guy at the table just keeled over and popped. Heart failure. After they checked his pulse and determined that he wasn't going anywhere, we finished our dinner and put the body in the back of our truck. No point in having the family get charged for an ambulance when there was nothing they could do. So we drove back to Atlanta on the 53rd and dropped the corpse off at the hospital. I haven't been back to Russell since. Her and I hopped in the car and left Athens in the direction of Russell in a hurry. The moment we reached the winding highway, I hit the pedal, and we went careening down the poorly lit twists and turns at 60 miles per hour. Now, those old Firebirds hadn't come equipped with radios yet, but I happened to have a little battery-operated transistor radio with me that got a pretty good signal considering its size. So we switched it on and cranked the music. The first station that came on was playing Georgia Gaynor's "I Will Survive." "God, I love this song," she said. I nodded. "Yeah, it's okay." "Just okay? Alright then, stud. What kind of music do you like?" I shrugged. "I can listen to anything with a good beat. If it's good, it's good, you know. There's one thing I don't get, is Wings. I mean, the Beatles were great, sure, but that Paul McCartney is such a pompous cocksucker." She laughed and turned towards me. "That's funny. Your friend was just complaining about Wings earlier, wasn't he? I'm with you. Is there anybody that actually likes Wings? Or is it just something they're required to play on the radio because Paul McCartney is in it?" I eased the Pontiac around a tight turn, and when I hit the accelerator to speed back up, the steering column became tense and the engine froze for a moment. Shit, I slowed the car to a reasonable speed. Yeah. When was the last time you put oil in your car? I hate to say it, but I think I just felt the engine freeze up. She gave me a hard stare. "Whoa, who said anything about it being my car?" What the hell are you talking about?" She grew silent for a moment as a sly grin came over her face. "I told you before. I never liked Brenda." I paused and thought about it and then broke into a huge smile. "Well, shit. I never stole a car before. You know what? I say we drive this fucking thing into the ground." We whipped around the next turn and I floored the accelerator. The Firebird made it back up to 60. When we hit 70, a loud knock began pulsing from under the hood. Then at 75, the steering column froze up again, forcing us to pull over to the side of the road. With the transistor radio still going, we began laughing our asses off. I popped the hood and we walked back out into the dark night air. A storm was about to break overhead. I hunched up my shoulders underneath my jacket and checked the dipstick. It was bone dry. There ain't a drop of oil left. This engine is toast." She shrugged and lit a cigarette. Then, with a loud burst of lightning, the skies opened up into a cold, pummeling rain. We stood there, frozen in the flash storm. I walked her to take a long drag from a cigarette and walked towards me. Red hair plastered to her face like she just stepped out of the shower. She blew a thick plume of smoke from her lips and ran her fingers through my hair and pulled me into a smoky, wet kiss that reminded me of campfires and sex. And as the rain fell and the Pontiac hissed, the DJ on the radio transitioned to the next song, "Band on the Run," by Wings. We kind of fell into things, her and me. After a few months, she dropped out of college, and we wound up in Reno with a couple of cheap rings on her fingers. Married by a drunken, cross-eyed minister, still very much in love. And I'll tell you this much. I may not remember her name, but I can tell you the exact size of the wedding dress that we stole from Goodwill. And I can't remember the name of the drive-through chapel neither, but I can describe to you with absolute clarity the way her long hair would fall over her eyes when she laughed. Not long after that, Savannah was born. It was the best few years of my life. Believe me, I never stopped loving her. Always hated myself more and more every day, but I never stopped loving her. Next chapter 4.